while Tarkir Dragonstorm centers around dragons and delivers cards like, for example, the already infamous Dracogenesis. In this video I've deliberately chosen not to focus on the amazing cards from the upcoming set, even though I'm sure a lot of them would fit in with Temur Roar. Instead, here are some of the cards you might already have in your collection from older sets, or perhaps you've seen them in your friends' binders or at your LGS. With the newest commanders that come with the precon, there is so much potential for huge dragons and there is a lot of them to choose from. But before we focus on the big lizards, I feel like it's best to start off with the non-creature cards. Let's get this out of the way first. The two tutors might be extremely pricey, but those are the channels for grabbing Ureni while playing Eshkim as your commander. That's the way you want to go, as Eshkim is only 3 mana and more versatile than Ureni. Regardless, it's the spirit dragon that becomes the big threat on the board, and it also synergizes with Eshkim very well. Adding tutor cards to find it in your deck is the top priority upgrade. There's also a very peculiar way to grab a dragon of your choosing from the deck and put it onto the battlefield, and that is Dragonstorm, which is mana price heavy though. You already have the new Sarkhan included in the precon, but how about the classic Planeswalker Sarkhan? Both Sarkhan Unbroken and Sarkhan Dragonsoul get extreme synergy with a dragon deck, especially when they can land all the dragons in the deck onto the battlefield. Similarly, you can benefit from having a lot of dragons in your hand if you include Invasion of Tarkir. It also becomes Defiant Thundermaw once the battle is defeated, which nicely blends in with its dragon bodies that are about to attack. A quick mention of Crucible of Fire, because it's a very peculiar enchantment that makes big dragon boys into bigger dragon boys, and an even quicker mention of Elemental Eruption. If you feel like there's not enough dragons on your board, this is something for the Storm mechanic fans. There's also Draconic Intervention you can use as a board wipe that doesn't harm any dragons in the process, which benefits from having some high cast spells in your graveyard that might synergize well with spells that cost you a lot of mana to cast. Okay, we got the boring part covered. Let's get to picking up some of the strongest dragons in Magic's history that match our commander's color identity, of course. Terror of the Peaks will make all those high-powered dragons hit some major damage. There's no need to explain how this becomes extremely valuable at any point of the match, although I feel like it's the right moment to vouch for this guy, the Twin Flame Tyrant. While neither 4 nor 6 power creature, meaning it doesn't benefit our commander much as a puny 3/5, it doubles the damage dealt by your sources. It synergizes fantastically in this deck, especially with Terror. Then we have the infamous All-Know-Bone. She is rather pricey, the second highest priced card in the Adventures of the Forgotten Realms set, actually right after Tiamat, but that's because the mana coming from those treasure tokens she creates is plain ridiculous. Pair her with Goldspend Dragon and it's pretty much a dragon bargain sale with treasures doubling in value. Miriam used to be the go-to Temur dragon when it came for commander material, so it's still one of the most powerful creatures to include in your deck when going for a dragon tribal. Keep this card in mind. Next up, there's Bonehorde Dracosaur that is a dinosaur dragon and works best in a dino deck, but its treasure creating and exile to cast ability make it a powerhouse to have on your battlefield. Remember that if you're in Europe, you can go on Card Market to get the singles you're missing for your deck. Feel free to use my username there, Rimfire, as the referral. Card Market is the website where people from different countries list their cards and you can browse their available collections freely, selecting which singles you want to include in your order. Astral Dragon is an interesting choice because it can create not only 1 but 2 copies of your opponent's permanent of your choice. And those 2 copies become dragons in addition. We're already drawing cards with Eshkim, but why not include Dragonborn Champion? While it doesn't have flying, it has trample instead, and if buffed, it can cause some trouble. Ancient Bronze Dragon can help achieve that, for example. But speaking of ancient dragons, there's 2 more that fit the commander's colors to choose from, and they're both fantastic. Ancient Copper Dragon gives you some very useful creature tokens, and Ancient Silver Dragon upgrades your hand immensely. A nice alternative to the pricey ancient Silver Dragger is Imrif Desert Doom, both when it comes for the mana cost and the wallet. Then we have another green dragon, which is Kura the Boundless Sky, a very versatile defender you might want to have included in your deck. There's also a plethora of red dragons to choose from that make the deck slightly more devastating than it already is, depending on what you'd prefer to add to your repertoire. For artifact destruction there's Horde Smelter Dragon, for directed damage control there's Scourge of Valkas, but I feel like that's not enough poo-poo. Incinerator of the Guilty, now that's something that makes your opponents hate your deck. Balefire Dragon nicely trims down those non-flying creatures that weren't able to block it a moment ago when it attacked, but it's your blockers that become the threat with Wrathful Red Dragon on the table. Make the best out of your huge beasts, but also help your opponents take each other out with more ease thanks to Blast Furnace Hellkite and gain advantage from their numbers with Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest. There's also a few alternatives on the cheaper side, like Ganax Astral Hunter, which can generate mana at a nice pace, or Null Spine Dragon that lets you draw cards if you feel like you're not drawing enough already. If you think that generating mana in late game becomes wasteful, Inferno of the Star Mounts can change that very quickly. Being uncounterable with haste and not only fueling up with red mana to get its power up, but also to power up that Dragon Ball inside its mouth that, if big enough, can be hurled for 20 damage to any target. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button. But before you go, here's some neat dragon legends which you might like adding to the deck. Cloth Unrivaled Ancient, the star of an older commander precon, might be exactly what your deck needs when it comes for utilizing attacking creatures. Frickrag Cunning Instigator adds the goad action into play for those who enjoy playing in larger groups. Niv-Mizzet Visionary might come in handy with keeping all those cards you have drawn by different means, but also has a way of drawing them himself. As for the final dragon of the bunch, creme de la creme, Furyborn Hellkite. That's right, it's a vanilla 12/12. With all those card drawing, damage dealing, treasure creating beasts, take a break and enjoy the raw power of this big boy. Look how cute he is, jumping out of that boulder like a surprise stripper out of a birthday cake. Catch you in another video and have a great day. Oh yeah, the freaking Hellkite Tyrant!